Welcome to the book of Melachim Aleph, chapter 15, where we learn about the kingdom of Aviyam and Assa. Remember, we are now having a split screen. Why a split screen? Because there are two kingdoms. There's the kingdom of Yehuda, there's the kingdom of Yisrael. That's why before Shmona Esrei we say, Tzur Yisrael Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael, Uvdei Kinumecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Okay, it's two separate kingdoms. Tragically, it's separated. You had Rechavam in Jerusalem, you had Yerovam in the north on the 10 tribes, and it's a split kingdom. So a lot of times it can get confusing because each kingdom has a king. Sometimes their names are even the same, and sometimes the names are just very similar. Sometimes over the time that this kingdom has one king, this one goes through 3 different kings. So it's a lot of sort of a dual chronology. It's like two stories happening at once. Okay, so at the chapter starts that. Remember, last chapter we had Rechavam, the king of Jerusalem, die. His son Aviyam, grandson of Shlomo, becomes the next king. And so it says that in the 18th year of Yerovam ben Nevat, the king of Israel, then Aviyam, the son of Rechavam, becomes the king of Yehuda. He becomes the king of Yehuda only for 3 years, but he continues to sin in all of the sins of Rechavam, and his heart was not with Hashem. Nonetheless, Hashem decides to spare the kingdom for the sake of David, to make sure that David always has a name continuation in the city of Jerusalem and that Jerusalem survives. But nonetheless, because David did, even though David did the sin of Uriah Hitti, Bathsheba, nonetheless, Hashem keeps his faith and promise to David. So that's the undertone of the constant kings in Yehuda. They survive so that Hashem can give David's kingdom continuation. But there's fierce war between Aviyam and Yerovam all the time, between Rechavam and Yerovam. So there's this tension between Rechavam, Yerovam, war actually, but and then also Aviyam, the son of Rechavam, is at war with Yerovam, with the kingdom of Israel. But Aviyam dies, and then his the next person to take the throne is his son Assa, spelled Aleph Samech Aleph. Assa. It's actually a very popular Christian name. In the time of the Puritans, they had the name Assa. You'll see soon why. Meanwhile, while Yerovam is king, so think about this. Yerovam, the king of Israel, is king. Meanwhile, you have 3 kings in Yehuda. You have Rechavam, you have Aviyah, and now you have Assa. So that's 3 for 1. So Assa is going to be king for 41 years. So he has a long term there, and he follows Hashem. He actually does the right thing. He removes the idols, the adultery. His own mother made this huge monster avodah zarah, idol worship. He destroyed it and burned it to dust in the valley of Kidron. But nonetheless, with all the credit that we give Assa, he's a good guy, but he does not remove the altars, the bamot, that let every person bring sacrifices in their backyard. That he doesn't do. Then he brings all the designated gold and silver that he designated to Hashem. He brings it to the Beit HaMikdash, and he's constantly fighting with the next king of Israel after Yerovam, Baasha. But here's the next story. Check it out. The king of Israel now, after Yerovam, Baasha, decides he's going to conquer Judea. Bad idea. He decides he's going to conquer Judea, and he's going to set siege to Judea. And he will not let anyone come or go to Judea. And so, here's what he does. Assa realizes he can't beat the king of Israel because Israel is how many tribes? Israel is 10 tribes. He's just 1.5. Some Binyamin, some Levi, but he can hardly fight them. So what he does is he takes all the gold and silver that is in the Beit HaMikdash. He takes all the gold and silver that he has, and he sends them as a bribe, not to the king of Israel, but he sends it as a bribe to Damascus. So you cross the Jordan, you go through Jordan, Syria, You get to Damascus and you bribe the king of Damascus. And he says, look, king of Damascus, here's the deal. The king is Hadad in Damascus. Hadad ben Tavrimon ben Chezion, Melech Aram, the king of Aram, the Aramites. He lives in Damascus. He says to him, look, I know that you are an ally of the king of Israel. You guys are neighbors. You share a border, the Golan Heights, and you're not at war with him. But since he is causing me trouble, he's besieging me, I can't really come and go because of his siege. I would ask you to violate your treaty with him and to attack him at the north, so come from Damascus to the Golan Heights, Tveria, etc. And that way he's gonna have another front to fight on. He's gonna leave me alone. And indeed, Hadad ben Tavrimon ben Chezion takes the bribe and agrees to do this act against the kingdom of Israel. Now, for us as Jews, our heart breaks either way because we want the kingdom of Israel to be okay. We want the kingdom of Yehuda to be okay. We don't want anyone dying. But unfortunately, this is what happens. So the king of Damascus goes all the way to the north of Israel. It breaks my heart because one of the places I love the most in Israel is the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee. And it says that Hadad goes and he strikes Iyon. If you ever know the Golan, there's a place called Nachal Ayun. Iyon, Dan. You ever go to Nachal Dan up north? Amazing place, the Banyas. Vet Avel Beit Macha. Vet Kol Kinrot. Sounds like the Kinneret. Kinrot al Kol Eretz Naftali. Beautiful, beautiful region. Baasha, who is trying to besiege Jerusalem, realizes he can't continue fighting in Jerusalem. He's got to go take care of his own kingdom. So he makes a U-turn, goes back, and he turns back. Meanwhile, King Assa is like, hey, they've been besieging us. Let's let's dismantle the siege. So he calls everybody, and they remove these huge rocks and everything that was meant to besiege Jerusalem. And in fact, they undo it, and they take and build with all those rocks a city named Aviyam and Mitzpah. That is the kingdom of Assa. Random fact about him, it says that towards the end of his life, he had a great life. He was king for 41 years. Towards the end of his life, he had his legs weren't working. I don't know if he had diabetes or what. Bottom line is, he had a great life, but it notes that his legs stopped working at the end of his life. He dies, and then his son, Yehoshaphat, takes over. His son, Yehoshaphat, takes over. So that's the next. So you had Shlomo, you had his son, Rechavam, you had his son Aviyam, and now you have his son Assa, 41 years. Who comes after Assa? You have to wait. You're going to have to wait because now we're shifting over to the kingdom of Israel. Let's see what happens in the kingdom of Israel. Nadav ben Yerovam malach al Yisrael. So Nadav ben Yerovam becomes king of Israel for just 2 years. That's it. He sins, he goes in a bad way in the eyes of Hashem. Usually that means avodah zarah, idol worship. And it says that Baasha ben Achiyah decides to stage a coup and assassinate the king of Israel, Nadav son of Yerovam. And so Baasha assassinates him, and he actually not only assassinates him, but he takes out his entire family. The entire household of Yerovam is completely obliterated, as Hashem promised Achiyah Hashiloni. Hashem said to Achiyah Hashiloni, if Yerovam keeps my mitzvahs, he'll be fine, but if not, tough luck. It's not going to be good. So that's the end of the short-term 2-year king Nadav. Next, after Nadav, you have in charge of Israel again, you have Baasha ben Achiyah, who wipes them all out, wipes out the house of Nadav and the house of Yerovam. And then you have Baasha, who is king for 24 years. Is he a good guy? No. He continues to sin and do bad things. That is King Baasha ben Achiyah. What is going to be next? Which kingdom are we going to talk about next? Probably the kingdom of Israel, probably King Baasha. But that you'll have to watch in the next chapter. Meanwhile, again, what did we have in this chapter? We had the kingdom of Aviyam, We had then, after he sinned, we have next to Aviyam, Assa, who was a great king, 41 years. You have the war. Once Assa is king of Jerusalem, you have the king of, once he's king of Jerusalem, once Assa is king of Jerusalem, he says to him, listen, I want you to violate your covenant with King Baasha of Israel. And indeed, the king of Damascus does that. And that's the end of that party. And as they say in the book here, Yeter Divrei Hayamim Ktuvim al Sefer Divrei Hayamim L'Malchei Yisrael. Just stay tuned.